Hey, Steve, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Rhonda. Can you hear me?
Yes, okay, thank you.
You looked panicked. I was like, I don't hear anybody, but I think we're all muted.
That's what I think too, so, okay, I don't want to get to our part and then have,
No
I was,
sound.
I was concerned as well because I was like, hello, I had sent a message saying I don't have any sound yet, but I think they must have us all have it muted at the moment.
okay.
I can't take minutes if I can't hear it.
Amen to that. Oh, yes, I need to do the chat thing. I wonder if everybody else just went to the catalog too. I mean, to the calendar also, because whatever was in the, no, said wrong meeting. So, anyway. You're muted right now.
lot of changes. We, had to get the state library approached us. At that point, it was Robin, and she said she wanted us to write our own grants versus going through Mobius. Okay, that's, okay, we can do that. Steve Campbell was, chair before me, and, he'd gotten our 501c3, and I go, okay, we can do this, that's easy. Well, we didn't have a fiscal agent or any way to do that, so that's the first thing we had to do. And so we went, of course, with Amigos and as our fiscal agent. And then, oh, it's a grant. You have to get 3 quotes. And then, so we had to get 3 quotes for our ILS. And we had one that was substantially less expensive than what we were using. So then we made the switch to Equinox. And that has been a change for both of them and us. They had a lot to learn about how Missouri Evergreen operates, and we had a lot to learn on how Equinox operates. We were used to a little bit more hand-holding than what they were doing at first. They're stepped up a ways. And so I wrote the grants for the 2 years that I was chair, and then I turned it over to Shannon, and I felt sorry for her. So I wrote the grants for the next 2 years until they hired Mickey Cowell as the executive director, and then later on Steve. So my experience with Missouri Evergreen is pretty extensive. I've been here when we were just toddlers, and now we're teenagers. But since I stepped away from the board in 2022, you've made a lot of changes. And so I'm trying to play catch up because things kind of have changed a lot. They've grown up a lot. And so that's what I'm doing right now. But my job is to serve you guys.
Thank you. And we're changing things like right now, actually. So that's what's exciting. Okay, we're gonna move on to approval of minutes. I hope you all had to read it, got to read them in your packet. I'm just keeping the agenda up. I'm not messing with that. So after reading your minutes,
I move we approve the minutes.
thank you, Krista. Second, Krista made the motion. Who did the second? Eva had the second. Any discussion, changes? All in favor? Aye. Aye, how wonderful. Any opposed? All right, wonderful. Executive board reports.
You guys have anything to say?
No, executive board reports, no. Do we? We have lots of reports that we put in there. Does anybody want to? We have just been, I mean, as far as the executive board goes, we have been, the past month, have been transitioning Steve. I don't want to say Steve out. Steve has been working to transition Colleen in, and I think that's the best way to say it. And I also want to publicly thank Steve for being here today, because this is not an easy thing to do. And just for her just to step in and go, all right. And so Steve and Colleen have been meeting weekly together in person to try to just transition all this in. So he's not dumping everything on her and going on vacation. So Steve, thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm sure he does want to. But thank you again for everything that you're doing. So, let's see. Executive director report. I'm just moving it on to you. Okay.
All right. Well, I have a lot to report in 2 weeks. No. Migrations, we've had some movement on that. We have had, the board has approved Ozark Regional to rejoin Missouri Evergreen. Welcome back. Bonterre has finished with their barcoding project, so they are gonna be moving into migration. And then we have Centralia, which received their barcoding grant. So they'll move into the next step. And we've accepted, of course, Lewis Library of Glasgow also has a barcoding grant. And then Crystal City is now accepted as a Missouri Evergreen Library. And once they get MOU signed, then we'll be able to start with rebarcoding for them. So we've got a lot of things going. Hopefully things are financially will be okay. I'll have Shannon talk a little bit more about financials in a minute, but so hopefully we'll be able to migrate those 5 libraries this year in this next fiscal year. starting in September, so we got things lined up. Yes, Steve?
Kate from Salem just emailed and said the Zoom is informing her that the meeting ID for the agenda is invalid. Or the meeting ID number for the agenda or for the meeting, is she on the meeting? She said this email is approved.
Okay.
The one from the calendar, if you click the very top link in the calendar, works.
Steve, Heather Arnold suggested having her go to the calendar and use the link on the.
Can I respond to this then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, please.
Yeah, please do.
Because we've got 25.
People on board, so I think it's maybe an old link. So yeah, try the one for the calendar and see if it goes through.
On the calendar.
On the calendar, or if she can get to the agenda. So.
I'll take care of it.
Thanks, Steve.
I think that's about all I have. I don't have a lot for 2 weeks.
Well done, thank you. All right, we are going to move to our favorite part, the financial report. Shannon. Shannon is a fantastic treasurer. She stays on top of everything, and if you ever have questions, please contact her. She almost has this all in her brain. So ask her. There you are.
I feel like that statement had a lot of falsehoods in it, but let me see if I can work a mouse. Okay. Can everyone see this? Can I make it larger? Is that large enough to see? Okay. So this morning I sent out an email that had 2 updated financial reports in it. One was the financial reports from Amigos through May 31st. They just sent those out earlier this week. And I thought it was important to share those because it reflected 2 payments. And so our balance sheet was much higher in these reports than what went out in April. One was an LSTA payment from the Missouri State Library grant of about $58,000. And then we also had an interest payment made on our interest-bearing account from Fidelity. So if you look at the balance sheet, our bottom line right now is $340,000. That includes our commerce checking account and the interest-bearing account with Fidelity. We've earned $2,872 in interest in about 1.5 years. So it's not a great amount of money, but it's better than no interest at all. I hope that maybe we can increase the amount in that account when this fiscal year wraps up, maybe in August, entering into September. The other thing that's different in these reports from previous ones, you'll notice that in the May profit and loss statement, there's no payment in the executive director contracted services line. That's because we've transitioned from a contracted executive director to an executive director that's an employee of Missouri Evergreen. So you'll now see those payroll expenses. Those lines are going to be a little bit higher because we're not paying that out of that other line in the budget, the contracted services executive director line. And finally, if you look at the full budget versus actuals report, you'll see that we're about 75% of our way through the year. All of our expenses seem to be lining up fine. There's nothing that is surprising that's really going outside of the budgeted amount. The bottom line right now, revenues over expenses. So net revenue is $6,365. We still have 2 big payments coming in, one being the last payment on the grant, second being the bill for authority control. We always bill that at the end of the year. So we pay those expenses throughout the year and then we bill members at the end of the year. So we see that it looks like a strong financial position, nothing that we didn't anticipate or didn't budget for. Any questions about the balance sheet or the budgets versus actuals before we go into the proposed? Do I get to the proposed membership fees now, or is that later in the agenda? Now? Okay.
It's on that, under your section.
Okay. Questions? No, okay. The proposed membership fees for FY 2026 that went out in the meeting packet was actually an earlier version and there were some errors in it. Yes, Steve?
Now Katie says she's in the waiting room.
Oh, okay.
I don't know this Katie at all, by the way.
I think under participants, maybe?
Yeah, participants.
Stop.
There.
Yeah, let's get Katie in.
So the one that went out in the packet had some errors in it. I've emailed out an updated one this morning. Is that getting any bigger? Because you cannot see this one. Try again. Okay, so what we did, the membership fee that we passed 3 years ago termed out this year. It ended in FY 2025. So we needed to propose a new membership fee moving through FY 2026 through FY 2028. The base fee in FY 2025 was $903. So the proposal that you have in front of you has the base fee going up $47 to $950 in FY 2026, then going up to $1,000 in FY 2027 and up to $1,100 in FY 2028. In addition to that increase, the previous membership fee schedule, if you had a revenue of $300,000 or more, you also then paid 0.3% of your budget in addition to the base fee. And in this schedule, we're increasing that to 0.35% of your budget in addition to the increase to the base fee. What we did was tried to show what that membership fee would look like in these different columns, FY 26, FY 27, FY 2028. And then we showed, we listed a column that was FY 2025 actuals and the difference of your FY 2026 fee over what you paid in FY 2025. So you'd have a really clear picture of how that would impact your library. This increase, if it is passed by the membership, right now we're introducing it. We'll ask for a vote in August, so that gives you time to review it and ask questions. If this proposal passes, this will increase Missouri Evergreen revenue by $65,000 in FY 2026. Right now, LSTA funding is committed, probably for the next year, but we all know that things are changing and we're not sure what's going to happen with IMLS and what's going to happen with LSTA funds moving forward. By trying to do this slow growth of revenues over the next 2 to 3 years, we think it puts us in a better position to be financially sustainable with less LSTA funding or possibly no LSTA funding. So this is a slow transition toward that financial position. Questions on that?
I love it when there's no questions.
Thank you. Very good, thank you. Okay. Let me find the agenda. Somewhere here. No. Yes, all right. We found it. Okay. So you're just presenting this. We don't have to vote on it. Correct. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for a clear presentation. Yes.
Now, I will point out at the last executive board meeting that I attended, I believe the executive board did vote to recommend this to the membership.
Yes.
So,
Yes. We did vote to recommend this
yeah,
to the
so
membership.
it's coming as a recommendation.
It is thank you. It is coming as a recommendation from the executive board. So. With the vote. Yes, with the vote in August.
I put it on the open vote, but I will send it out send that portion out in August. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Thank you all for your help. All right. Kate Coleman, I believe, is online. Kate, do you have a cataloging report for us? Or Liz?
Yeah, Kate is not online. It is Liz.
Okay, I
so-
can't hear. Wait just a minute. We cannot hear you. Give me just a sec. Let's see if we can get you piped through.
I don't know if we can get her piped through, but if we can at least turn my volume up on my computer.
Give us just a second.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Do you hear me now?
Wherever your
Nope.
microphone is.
Yeah.
That too.
We can't hear her. Steve, would you happen to know how?
Steve, any clue?
Any clue?
I have 1 or 2 gifts and tech isn't one of them.
Yeah.
Speaker?
Well, yeah.
This one, you mean the apps?
Okay, audio, hang on. I've got it. Let's do speaker, my camp, this one.
I know when to step away.
Speakers. Yeah. Liz, can you hear us now? Can you?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me?
A little bit.
A little.
Okay, all right, I'll yell a little bit. I'm just at home by myself, so it's fine. Okay, so cataloging report, we have wrapped up regional trainings. We had a total of 60 participants. So hooray for us. That is up from last year. I think it went up by like 12 or 15. So regional trainings are done for 2025. That does not mean I cannot do training. If someone wants to contact me, I can absolutely do library trainings, but regionals are finished. The last cataloging meeting, we talked about StatCats and maps and O4Os, which are all very important. A reminder that maps in Missouri Evergreen are done as books when they're atlases and not cartographic materials. That's a big update. And then just a reminder that the next cataloging meeting will be Monday, the 9th. So this coming Monday at 11 a.m.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Mary Beth. Thank you, everyone. Yes, Steve.
Terry York pointed out that we did not approve the financial report, and it is our practice to approve the financial.
Thank you, Terry York. We got yeah, there was no asterisk by it, so. I am run by asterisks. We do need to, thank you, Liz, that was
We did
wonderful.
put an asterisk, I'm sorry, that's my set.
Okay, we do need to approve the financial report itself. Not the membership fee proposal, but the actual financial report. So would anyone like to make, thank you, Sue. Sue is making the motion. Jake is, okay. All right. Thank you, Krista. I saw Jake first, but you're beautiful. Anyway, Jake had a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Thank you, Terry, for keeping us on the straight and narrow. I appreciate that. All right. Now we have, and thank you, Kate/Liz. Now we have the circulation report from Rhonda.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I wanted to point you or your attention to the first two items that were in the packet that came out. The first one talks about the Missouri Evergreen Circulation Policy states that each member library is required to be represented a minimum of 4 meetings at the CIRC committee meeting, 4 meetings per year. So currently we have 7 libraries that are not compliant with that, and 5 additional libraries that are, they have till their anniversary date coming into Missouri Evergreen that first year. They haven't reached that year yet. So reminders, if you attend the meeting in person, please sign in with your name and library so that you get credit. If you are one that meeting falls on a day that it doesn't work for you and you go and then at a later date watch the YouTube video of the recording, then what we ask you to do is email the circulation chairman, me, and I've included my email address there. Give me one takeaway from the meeting, and then I will update your attendance record. If you don't know where you stand and you want to find out, shoot me an email and I will be happy to let you know what your status is. And then the second item, about a year ago, I think now, we asked Equinox to create a new item status called missing pieces. And we requested at that time that libraries make that switch over to when you mark something missing pieces, it's actually called missing pieces. So that has gone well, but there are still a few holdouts. So I am encouraging you, the CIRC committee would like you to change, add that new status so that if you mark something missing pieces, it actually displays as the item status is missing pieces. I have included instructions at the end of the committee report. And then the very last thing is just, I'd love to welcome you to the Tuesday, June 24th meeting. It will be at 11 o'clock. So look for an agenda coming out shortly before that date. Any questions?
No, thank you, Rhonda. I'm sorry you all are staring at my arm. Thanks. All right, thank you for that. Patrick has a
I
question.
was wondering, where's the link to the previous meeting? I mean, I was at the last meeting, but I just always wondered where's the link to,
The previous circulation meetings. Patrick would like to know where the link is to the previous circulation meetings.
If you go to the moevergreen.org website, just our regular website, on that first page with the map, there's going to be a YouTube link on the top left, toward the top left. Clicking that will
There
get
it
it.
is. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Perfect. That was helpful. Thank you. All right, anybody else? All right. Let's see. Is Tony around to do a report? Reports are our favorite. All right. Okay. And then how about Leanne? Are you here to do a CAN report?
Hang on.
Okay.
Leanne's in the waiting room.
Leanne's in the waiting room.
Yep, I just,
Okay. There we go.
get these people in.
Let me get her all settled in. Okay. Leanne has just joined us. We hope. I'm talking slowly, which I'm capable of. We're talking slowly. Leanne is joining us. Leanne, might you have a CAN report for us? Maybe not.
Can I fill space for just a second?
Of course.
This is Mary Kay. I have the report if Leanne is unable to unmute herself.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The Consortium Assistance Network has been busy working on a local administration manual. And it is a manual that we hope will guide our members through the different aspects of the local administration functions in Evergreen. So we've been assigning certain sections, writing sections. We have a shared Google Drive, and we've got about 10 completed sections. So that's in progress. We also have identified a need for a more accessible glossary of Evergreen terms for new staffs and for libraries transitioning in from other ILS systems. So we've reviewed the existing resources that Equinox has provided, and we're looking at possibly creating a Missouri Evergreen centric glossary in the future. We're also keeping a watchful eye on applicants. So the news this morning was excellent because we're talking about who the mentor libraries could possibly be for our newest members, our incoming members. And that's what we've been up to. Our meeting is scheduled for actually Wednesday, the 18th. The calendar says the 11th, but we've had to make some changes to accommodate vacations and time off that we all think we need. So our meeting will be the 18th at 1 p.m.
Thank you, Mary Kay. Any questions for her? Okay, go ahead. You had a question. Comment.
My comment is the meetings, when you're a small library, are taxing. Thank you. We're checking out books, let alone making checks and doing all things. And I get it. I get that whatever, your little library, shut up and do your shit. And then, I don't know, it feels like I'm in school again. 10 to 10 and all this. And I get it, it's the rules. But I don't know, yeah, I think that the meetings can be an email. They seem a lot and they seem repetitive. I don't know, I taught for years. I know what meetings are like. I don't know that we can do anything with it, but I think smaller libraries, it's just harder because we are pulled a little further out in trying to meet all the needs.
Agreed.
I get it done. I sit there, but I get really pissy every
I don't know why the content of past meetings could be put in an email. That's the story.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, you don't apologize. The comment is from a small library that is saying we have way too many meetings. I'm going to paraphrase. We're having way too many meetings that we're being told we have to come to all of these way too many meetings or else. And a lot of the stuff could just be put in an email because they're busy checking out to patrons and they don't have time to do any of this. So maybe if we looked at maybe having less meetings and more substantive meetings. And actually, if it's just if we're meeting just to have a meeting, just put it in an email and call. So that is the comment on the floor, and there's a lot of small libraries in here that are all nodding their heads going, yeah, we can't do all these meetings, there's too many meetings. So it's just, go ahead, Krista.
I mean, as a new, library, what was the thought process of like, you have to attend 4 out of 12 or 10?
I didn't read it on the MOU.
But you know what I'm saying? What was
Ron, go ahead. Okay.
Why, what's that?
I've got Ron and Steve, so I mean, they both have good, go ahead.
Thought process especially started with cataloging because nobody was cataloging properly. It was the Wild West in our catalog. Nobody wanted to join because the catalog was such a mess. Nobody was paying attention to what they were doing. No, there was no other way to reach them other than saying, this is a mandatory meeting. And really your mandatory meetings are your membership, your circulation, and your cataloging. You only have to go to one circulation every 3 months. And I think that's about the same with cataloging, 1 every 3 months. You only have to show up to 2 general membership meetings a year. So you're really looking at 4 out of 12 months that you have a firm obligation. Anything over that can just be gravy.
Steve, hold on, I got Steve.
Loud.
It's okay, that's why I have a microphone.
I mean, I don't care because I'm not the one going to the meetings for our library, but in cases like Stacy, for example, she's the one going to all of those meetings every quarter, cataloging and circulate. So it's the smaller libraries, I can see where it's a huge burden. For me, I have our cataloger go to one and I have our cert person go to another one. But at the smaller libraries, you say 1 1/4 of each one, and then these meetings, that's like 8, 10 meetings or more a year. I mean, when you're working the desk all the time, I can see that's a huge problem. I don't mind if you're trying to convey or discuss an issue or convey important content, but most of these meetings are just like blah, 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 and then and nothing's accomplished, nothing's changed. It could literally, even if it's once a quarter, could literally be in an email. I mean, when that information changes, guess how we're notifying our staff? An email. You know, we're not having a meeting for cert people in our library every 3 months, giving them all new information. It's going out in an email if anything changes.
Okay, I'm coming to Eva. Hold on. Squeezing through. It's not easy.
Saying that because I.
Wait, Eva, don't you dare talk till you have the microphone.
I'm old, so, and I'm in a small library. And I actually even sent Steve an email months ago that there's way too many meetings. If you are the only person that's going to all these meetings, it's way too many meetings. I like the idea that, okay, important cataloging changes in an email, we take care of 90%. And if you are a new library, I hope we are going through the cataloging process with them, that there, those kind of mistakes that were occurring, Robert, you are 100% correct. We needed a lot of cataloging meetings in the beginning. We needed a lot of circulation committee meetings in the beginning, but we're beyond that now. We shouldn't have to, if I twice a year, if I make a meeting, and I'm probably one of the bad people because I don't think I signed into anything, but I made some of the meetings. So just from a small librarian's point of view.
Okay, Mary Beth, hold on.
Okay.
Don't say anything substantive till I get there.
Or even if she doesn't.
Make a word.
Sure.
Go.
So is there a compromise that libraries could be required to sign off that they've read the minutes or something? That if something for these meetings that where it's a burden for them to attend? Just a suggestion.
There's always a meeting.
There is already an option to watch the recording and then send an email, and so you don't have to attend the meeting live.
Yeah.
True. So the minutes instead of the recording. I do want to add that, I know it is a lot of meetings, and I know for some of our libraries, they've been members for many, many years, and they haven't had staff turnover, and so they're very well, versed in how to catalog the Missouri Evergreen and how to handle transactions with, according to Missouri Evergreen best practices. But there's a lot of libraries in Missouri Evergreen. There's almost 79 members, and not every library fits that definition. We have a lot of turnover in directors, we have a lot of turnover in staff. And if we're not setting some level of required engagement, then those libraries aren't handling things according to the Missouri Evergreen best practices, and then that hurts all of us. So I do agree with Mary Beth to try to come up with a compromise, but there does need to be some requirement that libraries need to stay plugged in. A lot of you are very active directors and you're staying plugged in because that's just what you do, but that's not what's happening at all libraries across Missouri with all Missouri Evergreen members.
Katie. I know. Thank you, you're sitting here. Yeah.
I think one thing that I would say is that we're trying to make the consortium the best that it can be. Not just for the ease of everybody to use it, but for our patrons as well. Because if we're not doing the recommended best practices or, whatever the document is called, and everybody's doing their own thing, the system doesn't work how it's supposed to work. And with us growing as large as we are and more to come, we need that structure. And so that's why we have the meetings, is to make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing and how they're supposed to be doing it. And also to answer all the questions from the newbies. My library is still a newbie. And we have a lot of questions of, this is how we've done things. How do we do it within the parameters of Evergreen? And then that question raises other questions within the committee. I will agree that I think, because I attend some of the circulation meetings, and cataloging meetings, the ones that I can. But I also have, like Steve said, I have staff that go to those. But yeah, some of the things continue to be brought up that were brought up months ago. And it's like, why are we still talking about that? And I think it's because things are still not being done the way that they're supposed to be done, which means either people aren't seeing the information because they don't attend the meetings, they're not seeing the emails, or they just have no idea, or there's staff turnover, which is part of what prompted all of this. Because when there's turnover at those libraries, there's no way for us to know who those people are that we need to communicate with. So that we're not trying to inundate you with meetings. We're really just trying to make things better.
Fire Stacy.
Fire Stacy. That's fine.
Dog on my ear.
I got it.
I got So I was just wondering, I've noticed in a lot of the meetings, there's some discussion, which is great. But is there any way to maybe earmark the meetings that are more, you need to attend this one, this is informative?
Yeah.
And then have meetings that are more discussion based, so that those who are limited on time can go to the ones that are very concise and you need to know this. And skip the ones that are more, let's talk about it.
Good suggestion, Steve.
Yeah, I like that a lot because, yeah, Stacy likes that a lot. That's what really matters, you know? I just hear as her advocate, that's what we're here for. I think that there are some people who want to be part of the decision making and the discussion, and that's great. But not everyone wants to do that. People just want to have an ILS and tell them what they're supposed to do, which, like I said, can come in an email or marking certain meetings as we're going to tell you what's going on, something's changing. That's great, but not all of them.
Those meetings are where things get done, so if you're not there, well, I'm just saying, but if you're not.
If a decision's made and you're not there, don't complain about it later. Is that what you're saying? Thank you. Okay.
Don't care.
I don't have time for that. It's my one job to move this. Okay. Anybody else? All good discussion. It was a very good discussion, you guys. And believe me, what? No, but in this case, the executive board is in here and we're listening to you and we're gonna be like, oh, all right.
So bitter.
All right. Because I am old and postmenopausal and I don't like meetings at all. And I'm with you. So, okay, I have like 3 months, I have 3 months left in my presidency. We'll see what happens. All right. I love it. Okay. I don't know who that came down on, but thank you committees for all your reports. They're like, we're never reporting about anything ever again. Okay. Hey, Jane, you want to report on Mala? I know you're in here. I know you kept your head down. I saw that. Jane's like, I am not this. Here comes Jane. Jane is part of the solution. All right.
Good morning. I don't know if I want to follow that or not. So I'll keep it really brief and maybe not open up to questions. Annual agreements were due the first, which I think were Monday. We have a lot of them in. We actually may have all of yours in, but if you're sitting there going, I wonder, when you get back to the library on Monday, take a look. And if you still have a question, email Marcy because she is the keeper of the master list. But knowing Marcy, she's already emailed you to tell you she doesn't have it. So that's probably a moot point. The other thing that you would have received about 2 weeks ago is the annual survey that is required for being a grant recipient. It's not an option. And there's only one per library. So we don't need everybody who touches, the grant things to send it in, just one. We'll only count one, we'll only submit one. Those are due June 15th. So a little earlier, we used to have them due the end of June. That's the end of our fiscal year. So that got very cumbersome to be trying to juggle all that. So they're due the 15th. Again, we'll be sending you reminders if you didn't do it. It's very short. It's exactly the same as last year. I will ask you, because we're in that uncertain IMLS world we live in now, which we didn't used to live in, but now we do. There is a spot at the very bottom that says if you have it doesn't say this, but it says something like, if you have a heartwarming story about what the grant means to your customers, please share it with us. And almost every year we get one, oh, people love it. So I'm really looking for something that if somebody came to put me on TV to say, what does your grant do? I could say, there's this family in the very rural area and they use it for this. And some of you have sent me those in the springtime and I loved them. And so just if you have, I know Stacy's gonna have a lot of time not to want to do this, but if you do have some time, I would love it and I will keep them because you just never know when somebody might say, hey, you give us one good story and we'll keep giving you money. But the invoices are not due till August 1st. They were sent out back in May. And I do know that they get lost. And so we'll also be reminding you, as we do when you don't do this, that you didn't pay us. So we really don't want it until after July 1 because our fiscal year, it runs that way. So there's no real reason to pay us, now. But if you do, we'll just hold the check till July. Let's see, so I announced this at the user conference, but not everybody was there. We had our new contract. We sent out 5 requests. We got 2 back, the same 2 from 3 years ago. We went with Henry again, because they're 50% less than the other bid. Henry has been bought by Capital Express out of Omaha because they wanted their name into Missouri because they weren't a business in Missouri. So that new name is Capital Express. We are terrible at remembering that. So we'll sometimes say, we'll let Henry know, but it's really Capital Express. Probably nothing is going to change. The routes are run by the same people. It's just Capital Express. But it's friends with people at Henry, whatever. The good news is, if you recall, if you were here 3 years ago, the bid went up 34%. We were very worried about what was going to happen this time. It only went up 9%. So we're very happy with that. If you were at the user conference, I threw all of your heads into an explosion when I said we're going to start having tracking with this new contract. So watch your heads to explode and for you to all come attack me later. We don't have details yet on that. They're still pretty confident they'll have it ready to roll out midsummer. I'm looking at more like early autumn. We were very slow signing the contract on our end because of all the IMLS upheaval, and I didn't feel it was in good faith to sign something that we might not even be in existence, and so that delayed. Of course, they're not going to start on a project on a contract they might not even have. So they're working really hard. They've got a couple great examples. It will be, here's what made all the libraries explode in April, so I'll be prepared. It will be up to the libraries to do the work. So it is on a library front end because the tracking only works if you enter what is being tracked. So there's no way for us to do it, and there's no way for Capital Express to do it. It actually happens. And the one thing I can tell you, most of it is unknown, but the one thing is all of the barcoding will happen on individual labels. So you will not be able to print 100 Neosho labels or 100 Polk County labels and have them in our favorite little files because we have them in our office. The barcode that will be the tracking barcode will print on that label. And so the label will actually say it's coming from St. Joe and it's going to Cass County. And it'll say that, it'll have the date that you print that label, and it will have the barcode. Everything else, I don't know, it's still unknown, but that seems to be pretty set in stone, so we'll see. Of course, yes, yeah. Right, exactly. You can print 2, you can print 3 if you want to put one in a file. People are, there's a place, it's in New Jersey, I think, that has this very similar model. And, you know, they have a wide variety of how people do it. So we just request that one, but you could print as, yeah, multiple for your big totes. And if you have a different way you want to keep track. So I will have more to report in the August meeting, but it'll be Zoom, so we can't yell at me in person. So I know we just had that whole discussion about meetings, but one of the things that is still a problem sometimes is why the stats are reported as they are on the MALA monthly stats. And it's not your circulation. It's really, we need to know for the pricing and the routes and all of that for our contract with Capital Express now, how many items, and we don't do it daily, we just do it monthly, are going out your building on the courier route. And that can be books going to Wolfner. That can be books going to my favorite Cass County. It can be, it's whatever is physically being loaded onto that vehicle. And as some of you know, some of those vehicles are pretty tiny. And so it's pretty important to keep this kind of track. And so if you're ever in doubt, please just let us know. The other thing we instigated last year, and some of you directors may not even know this, is that when you submit your count, you'll get an email that says you've submitted it. And it comes from whatever email is put on the stat. So sometimes it's the person, sometimes you have a generic branch or library email. So if in doubt, that person, whoever submitted it, knows that it was submitted on this day. But it kind of dawned on me when we were doing something like, I bet there's some directors that, you know, they've got people who do that, so they don't even know. And, but stat reporting is going really well. Everyone seems to have grasped that special account we're doing, the Amigos, TAA, Kokomo. So we've kind of jumped that hurdle. So we're going to keep, even though the contract's not up, we're going to keep track of that. They charge a lot more for those special stops. So we just want to make sure that we're getting our money's worth. And the state library approved it for the next year. So I think we're happy with the stats we have. And they also just increased it the same. They just have to take it all the way out to Goodland, Kansas, and all the way down to Oklahoma City when they do that. So it's a bit of a longer haul. And I think that is all I have. Any questions? Ron?
This was brought up in the circulation committee meeting last month. So a lot of times a library will say, hey, I've got extras of this to send, I'll send them through the courier. It's like, say some library's getting away from DVD cases and they want to send me 100 of them. So do we count that as 100 items in our?
I would not count 100 DVDs as 100 items. I would count 100 books that are heavy and take up a lot of space as 100 items, or maybe 50 items. But DVD cases, if they fit in one box, we can count that. Let me just add the caveat of if that's just like a one-off time. if you're constantly sending those kind of things and they're taking up a lot of space, then let's count them more individually. Same with like bookmarks but the Wolfner large print books need to be counted individually because they take up a lot of space and weigh a lot. So, good question. I thought you were going to ask me something else. Okay, that's it. Oh my gosh, thank you.
Thank you. All right, here we go. All right, Missouri State Librarian Janet. She has no report at this time, and do not ask her. All right. Don't ask her. All right. Let me see. I'm trying to move this over so I can move this up. It's the whole thing. Okay. We're going to acknowledge, I'm not. You're going to acknowledge expiring board terms. There you are. And try to move that up if you can.
Try to move
Try to move the agenda up so I can read the bottom of it without canceling everybody else off.
Just roll the mouse.
I think fear of it's gonna kill off something.
You're not gonna kill off anything.
Gonna kill it off.
We have some board members whose term will be expiring in I guess August 30th. And I have to think differently now. And we want to recognize that we know how hard it is to be a board member and have a full-time job. It takes a lot. And let's see, board members that are expiring. One of them is Mary Beth. You did great. And she has actually decided to step off of the board and not run this year. And then also expiring is Jake Johnson. Oh, our chicken soup. Yeah, he wore his chicken shirt.
Ron, did you tell her to shut up? I heard that. Or then up here.
All right. Now we also have our lovely Carrie Klein.
Okay.
She, her board term is expiring, so she gets this. And then also, as president, you are going to be leaving us as president. And Kate Coleman will be our next president.
I know.
So we definitely appreciate your service.
Thank you. Very much. All right.
Does Ron want to do this portion?
Ron?
No, Ron does not, but I will if I have to.
You have to. That was a nice way of going, come up and do this.
Come up and do this. You know more about this than I do.
There we go.
Okay, so are we to the part with board elections? So it says, okay, so this is totally new for me. Lucky me that I
Get it close to your mouth.
Lucky me that I got thrown into the middle of this. So back in April,
Probably.
we did the vote to expand the board and we split the consortium into Class A, Class B, and Class C libraries to kind of make sure we were getting small, medium, and large represented. And then there are 3 at-large seats as well. So what happened with this election was we were going to have the way the board was organized with people that were already coming back. We had 3 small library seats open. We had a Class A and a Class B that had incumbents in them, and then an at-large that was Mary Beth's position, and she's not running for election. So we essentially have 6 vacancies at this point. We're going to do that after some input from the entire group. We decided to do an electronic vote of that rather than voting in person at this meeting, because we felt like there were a lot of people that were not having a voice if they weren't here. So at some point after this meeting, Colleen will release the electronic ballot. It will be good for 2 weeks. And I know when we opened up nominations for 10 days. And I had almost every nomination within the first 2. So I feel like that 2 weeks to vote is an adequate length of time. Anybody can, take that 5 minutes to vote. I've previewed the ballot that Colleen and probably Steve put together, and
No, he didn't help with this one.
okay.
I did all my CL. That's why there was errors in it on a few things.
So, yeah, we previewed the ballot. It's really cool. It's just, go through, check. We'll, after the close of the ballot in 2 weeks, we'll announce who the winners are. They will not be seated until September 1st. Will be the point when we reorganize the board, since we aligned our board terms with our fiscal year. So any questions about the elections? Yes.
Don't run.
Just to be clear, after the board has been selected and they're not taking office till September, but they are invited to the board meeting as to get used to the flow of the meeting and how things are done, correct?
It's just one of those things. I get real bad at assuming things. It should go without saying, well, no, Sue says it, and then, yeah. So,
We also hope to have between now and when the new board takes a board retreat, and that we can all get together in one spot. That's still very much in the planning stages, though.
yeah, the last board retreat was really helpful. We spent maybe 4 to 6 hours and lined out everything we needed to consider for the next year following that. And I think we've accomplished pretty much everything we set in that retreat. So
Two things.
2 things
Yeah.
we didn't do.
There were 2 things we didn't do, but that's
Okay, so we've got a seat for next year.
Well, I don't remember that, but I wasn't
Good.
there.
I'm just wondering how we'll receive the bell.
I'll explain that. Give me the remote. Okay. All directors will receive an email. And since only one vote per library, so it will go out to your director. It will look something like this, though I will take off the membership fee and will not send that portion out until August. So I'll take that off, but your executive candidates for Class A, you will have Carrie Klein, and you have a little bit of her bio, and then you will vote. Class B, you have Jake Johnson, who's an incumbent, and Greg Carter, who is running for that Class B seat. Greg, I do have your bio. I just have to put it in before I send it out. I'll plug it in before I send it out. For Class C, we have Megan Bishop of Reynolds County. We have Kathleen Gallagher of Richmond Heights, and Sarah Palmer of Brentwood Public. Notice we have 3 openings in Class C, so you can vote up to 3 choices here. Basically, yeah, they're gonna, unless we have another nominee from the floor, then yeah, they're gonna be on the board. Yes.
Weren't there 3 different lengths of time for those 3 different positions?
I'll get to that. That's down a little lower. On executive board at large, we have Scott Bonner, Carrie Bryce, Greg Carter, and Krista Van Herring. Krista, how do you pronounce your last name? Krista, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, and you will vote for one, and they will be on the at large. As to Scott's question, see, I did that, Steve, Scott. As to Scott's question, we have 3 different terms. In the next section on Class C board terms, you will vote for one, and we will have a ranked choice. Whoever gets the most votes will have the term that expires in 2028. And the next highest will get term that expires in 27, and the next will expire next year in 2026. Does that make sense? And then all you will do then is vote. And so it should be fairly easy to, send out to vote to everybody. Is there any questions on how the voting's gonna go? Yes. I can't include images in this, I know. I thought it was a very cute picture. But I can't, on this software, I can't include any pictures. I know, I know. Any other questions on how this is gonna go? Yes, Steve?
Just a reminder that according to the bylaws, you can accept nominations from the floor to add to the ballot
Yes.
today,
Yes, I can, yeah.
if anybody wanted.
So, what if Craig wins both his races? How does that happen? Run for two, I don't know what happened.
Well, when you were nominated, the person who nominated you said both,
Oh,
which we do allow. The one thing we've discussed in executive board is you gotta pick. And so basically, if you were to win both seats, say you picked the at-large seat, then the person you're running against in Class B would take that seat. If you wanted the Class B seat, then the next highest vote getter in at-large would get the seat. And
Yeah.
one other thing about the electronic ballot being sent out to the directors. We got the directors' emails directly from the Mo Evergreen Library's website. So if you don't get the ballots, let
Please.
Colleen and me both know
Yeah.
because she'll need to resend it and I'll need to correct the website.
And when are you sending it, Colleen?
Hopefully tomorrow, or as, it may be Saturday before I actually get to it, but yes.
So Colleen said, ballot will be sent out Friday, Saturday at the latest, and the 2-week clock for it to be open will start at the time she opens the ballot.
Cause
So-
I have some editing to do on this page. I have to have, Greg's bio. I have to take off the membership fee schedule. Then that vote will be the same way. It's gonna be this OPA vote where you can just vote on that. And, so you'll get an email for that.
So are we to the point where we open up the floor for nominations from the floor for any of the open positions?
You need, oh, there's somebody in the waiting room. Oh, okay.
So any additional nominations from the floor for board positions? Okay, so I've called twice. We will say that there are no more nominations.
There are none on the chat.
There are none
None
on
on
the
the
chat.
chat? Okay.
So nominations will be closed at this point.
All right.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Okay. Excellent. I am excited about this online voting and it stemmed from an executive board meeting and I'm excited about it because I think this is gonna give everybody a chance to, whether you're here in the room or not, you're gonna get to vote and vote thoughtfully. So, and in the past, we haven't really had a lot of people running up for anything. Normally you have to shake the trees to get anybody to run for something. That's how I got elected. Sue. She's like, so here's the thing, you haven't done anything yet. And she guilted me on my drive all the way to Springfield. So, but now, I mean, I'm excited because people do want to run for the board and I think it's very, very exciting to have this many people. And the fact that we're enlarging the board is another wonderful step in the right direction as we have more and more representation of our members. So really, really excited about that. Okay, I'm gonna find the right there. Okay, so we're up to adjournment. Anybody upset about that? I know, right? Why don't you sit and visit? She's so fun. Anyway, thank you all for everything that you do. You keep this whole membership running along and I love you all. Anyone want to make a motion to adjourn? I saw Jake first and I saw Shannon second. So Jake made the motion, Shannon did the second, all in favor. Now you can have conversations amongst yourselves. Yes, Mary?
Terry, how are you doing attendance in here? I see Terry, is Terry here?
Terry is not here. Terry is,
Was there an attendance sheet
I-
for this room?
there is not an attendance sheet.
Okay. Okay.
Mary Beth, good job. Apparently Mary Beth is gonna have an attendance sheet going around, and you get credit for this, or else Stacy's gonna have to attend another meeting. All right? There you go. Yes, thank you for thinking of it. Yeah. All right. Now you can fill everything off.
I can kill everything off.
Okay,
Okay, we'll turn it down. We'll turn it. Guys, all you had to Did anybody else have any messages that you haven't answered? Before I end this, did anybody have any messages that you haven't answered? I don't think, I think you had, so,
I got them all and I was recording the motions and seconds for Terry, so.
okay.
Should be good.
All right, and